Hey there, guys. Quick thing before we get into our reaction to this piece of garbage. We just finished watching it. We rented this thing on Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray comes with special features. We haven't checked them out yet, but hold on. This is how terrible this movie is. I just have to... Here we go. There we go. All right. Here we go. This is it. See how it's highlighted there? This is the sound effect they put on this thing for when you change to a different option. That's the sound effect. It's no one on earth could possibly think sounds pleasing in any way, shape, or form. But they decided to put in there, they have to be f***ing with us. They have to have done this on purpose. They have to have purposely gone, we are going to make this the most annoying, irritating thing you could experience, down to the sound effect that they put on selecting an option. Anyway, our reaction. Enjoy. We knew this was going to be bad. We had no idea. Wow. Okay, first off, hi everyone. Welcome to another installment of the Gauntlet of Garbage 2016 edition. For anybody who doesn't know, every single January of every year, I look back at what people call the worst films of the year, and I try to watch as many of those movies as close together as I can, just to kind of cleanse the palate, just to kind of give me an appreciation for all the other movies out there.
Basically to see how long you can go without going insane. But
that's also part of it. It's an endurance test.
Yes, I think this might have broken us.
No, I've seen worse. I have seen worse.
But not for this past year, though.
I don't know, do you remember when I saw Suicide Squad and I lost my after seeing that? Like, you can attest to this.
Yes.
The entire subway ride back, which is like half an hour back home, I was just ranting nonstop like a crazy man on the train. Like, women were hiding their children away from me. Like,
okay,
but at the same time, this still might be the worst movie I've seen all year.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to talk about Norm on the North, by the way, and I was saying, we saw this on our TV. I was wondering, if you saw this in theaters, would you have the same reaction?
That's the thing. It's not fair for me to totally compare them, because any film that you watch at home is going to automatically be better. If it's any bad movie you watch at home is automatically going to be better than a bad movie you watch.
Or not as bad.
Yeah. It's going to be not as bad as a bad movie you watch in a theater, because in a theater, you're stuck there, you can't take out your phone, you can't go make yourself a sandwich, you paid $15 there, 30 for me since I'd be paying for both of us. This, I went to the Red Box, we held this for like 3 days, so I owe like maybe $6 on it, and I could tweet along to it as I went insane. So, if I had seen this in theaters, it definitely would have been way worse. So it's hard for me to tell. But at the same time, man, it's hard to compare them. I'm gonna have to sit and think on it. But at the moment, I think this might be my worst of the year. This is insultingly bad.
It is.
You've probably heard people talking about this. A lot of people have been saying that like this and 9 Lives are like the most groundbreakingly bad movies this year. Like, they are the 2 bad movies that everybody is talking about because they can't believe they existed. 9 Lives ain't got on this film. 9 Lives is the next Lion King installment compared to this crap. This was shockingly bad.
It's like, you've been comparing this to Food Fight, and I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it was. There came a moment about halfway through this movie, not even that, like, there came a moment in which there was like some fat director character that they had, and his jowls were just like shaking every time that he moved, and I was like, this looks like a glitch in a video game.
No, it's like, that's the thing, like, the animation is terrible, and it's so janky. It's like, it's either too stiff or too crazy. It's like, there are no physics or rigging or anything. Is like,
I'm glad you're here, because I don't even know what rigging is. Yeah, she's the animation expert. she can tell you how bad the animation looks in this. And let me just go ahead and say, every single bad movie that we've watched so far this year, I started off looking at them, at every single one of them going, this is not as bad as people say. And typically it's about halfway through the film that I go, alright, this is as bad as people say. Norm in the North got maybe 5 minutes before I was like, yep, it's exactly what people have been saying it is. This one hit rock bottom fast. Whew. Oh, I need to gather my breath for a second, but
I guess we should talk about the plot.
Yeah, this movie.
The plot, if you can call it that.
This movie is about Norm, who plays a polar bear who's part of, like, he's the son of, like, the king of the Arctic. His grandfather was king of the Arctic before that. It's going to be, like, passed down to him at some point. And he has this special ability that is passed down to his family where he has the ability to talk to humans. And there is a land developer who wants to start building real estate in the Arctic, but Norm knows it will destroy his home, so he boards a ship to New York City. He's going to go there and try and talk to them, try and convince them to not do that. But at the same time, the realtor has decided he needs to make the Arctic look friendly, so they're going to hire a polar bear mascot. And the people who are in charge of giving him permission to do this, he says, right now, you have less than 3% approval rating from people. We won't let you build these in the Arctic until you get over 85% approval rating. So he's like, I'm going to hire someone to be a big, cuddly polar bear to encourage people to come to the Arctic. Norm then goes in there and auditions to be this polar bear, and everybody loves him because he does this thing called the Arctic Shake, which is basically just the Running Man. It's a bunch of different dances that he does in there. The weird thing is there's like a feature on this DVD that says, learn to do the Arctic Shake, and I was watching every time he did the Arctic Shake, it's like, it's a different dance each time. It's not this, it's, oh god, okay.
Maybe, did you watch that special feature?
I didn't watch it, I didn't watch it. I did not engage in this any further than I had to. But so he decides he's going to then be their spokesperson, which made no goddamn sense. You want them to not build in the Arctic, so you're going to help them get approval to build in the Arctic. And like he says, well, I think my grandfather, who disappeared years ago, is being held captive by this guy, so I'm going to have to stick close by until I can sneak in there. It's like, you can do that without trying to get, oh god, you can do that without trying to raise the approval rating of these things in the Arctic. And then he meets this little girl who believes him and knows that he's a polar bear, and she's the daughter of someone who works for this land developer, and she's the daughter of someone who works for this land developer, and the person who works for the land developer is played by Heather Graham, which is sad. Oh, jeez, this has been the year of this project is beneath you. But so she is working for the land developer because the land developer needs to give her kid approval to go to this big fancy school that she wants to go to, which is this whole other subplot. A
subplot that is completely unnecessary.
It's not important at all. I mean, it's there for one reason, to explain why this lady who we're supposed to like and we're supposed to believe is on the side of good is still working with this bad guy. Because she's trying to help out her daughter. It's like, it's stupid. But this little girl then meets Norm, goes, I believe that you're a polar bear, and I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to save the Arctic. So what you need to do, you need to get the approval rating even higher, and then when it's at its height, you'll come out and say that you're against this because everybody's going to be in love with you. I was like, this is dumb. You cannot build these things in the Arctic unless you have 85% approval rating. You were at less than 3% when you started. Just don't do anything and you fix this. There is literally no problem in this film. Like, the crisis automatically solves itself if you just walk away from all this. And it's not like, oh, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and now I caused this problem. It's like, no, you are actively working and going on television shows and doing interviews and doing all this stuff for months to get this problem to be possible. It's so freaking stupid. And again, the only reason, and I am stretching on this, to be the only way that I can look at Norm and go, okay, well, I understand what you're doing is because it's like, well, I think my grandfather's being held captive here, so I have to stay close to do this. It's like, he has these little, they're Minion ripoffs. Let's just go ahead and say it. They're flout Minions.
They're lemmings.
They're lemmings. and they're just flat out Minion ripoffs. They're little tiny things that just go, and you can smash them and beat them up, and they're just fine. And
that actually like really pissed me off because I kind of wanted them to die because they're just that awful.
So annoying. They are nothing but like pee and fart jokes nonstop.
And they're so ugly too. Like
they're hideous.
Like all the characters are ugly. Every time you do a close-up on a character's face, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we mentioned Food Fight earlier. You remember what, not Christopher Walken, what was his name? Christopher, Doc. You remember what Doc Brown's character looked like in Food Fight? There's a woman in here who looks exactly like him, like a gender swap version of him. Like, that is how hideous some of these character designs are. And the little lemming minion guys, there's hundreds of them up in the Arctic, and they're all the exact same, like just copy and pasted over and over and over again. But you got the three main ones, but they don't have like personalities or anything. Like, I seriously looked at them and I was like, I take back everything I ever said about the Minions. Like, the Minions have genius character designs compared to these things. Holy cow!
And it's like you can actually tell some of the Minions apart. Like they do, like even though they can be wacky.
Many of them.
Yeah, it's like
you look at a crowd of like 50 Minions. They might look similar, but they're not going to be the same.
No.
This is literally copy paste, copy paste,
and
copy paste.
And the Minions had names too. The Lemmings did not have names.
You're right.
He just calls them, "Hey, Lemmings, come on, Lemmings, let's go, Lemmings."
Yeah. God. Which, by the way, speaking of that, the whole reason why people discover Norm in the first place is because his brother, when he's up in the Arctic, likes to have all the animals put on a show for all the tourists coming up there. And when they start the show, you've got like a row of Minions in tuxedos doing the can-can. Then you've got a seal being fired out of a cannon. And then you have a killer whale jump up and start doing like the sprinkler dance. And when the whale does that, he turns to her and goes, "No, be realistic." And I was like, you just had lemmings in tuxedos and seals flying out of cannons. The whale, you don't want to be realistic? And then the whale like eats a seal and goes, "No, that's too realistic." And then he turns to Norm and goes, "He just ate my star seal. You need to go out there and do the Arctic Shuffle." And I was like, what happened? Okay. Tuxedo, lemmings, seal in a cannon. No, be realistic, whale. Ignore those other two things that were totally not realistic.
No, it's like...
But you whale, you be realistic.
No,
oh my gosh, the whale was realistic? Quick, polar bear, break dance.
No, it's like the joke, the quote-unquote joke is, this is not Orlando, which is obviously like a reference to Shamu and SeaWorld and everything.
That's the saddest thing about this. It feels, the people making this thought they had a message. Because, like, it feels like they were trying to make a message about environmentalism, like they were trying to make a message about protecting the Arctic, but it's like global warming never gets mentioned once in here.
Yeah.
He's protecting the Arctic from land developers. It's like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. No one is trying to build condos in the Arctic.
And like we said before, they already have like a 0.3% approval. Less than 3%. So it's like, this was never a problem in the first place. No one...
Because everyone thinks it's dumb.
No one wanted condos in the Arctic.
The NPCs in this movie are more common sensed than the protagonist. Everyone's looking at this like, it's freaking stupid. This is garbage. And by the way, I know some people out there, like, we've been comparing this to Food Fight this whole time. And it's like, I know people are going to be like, I saw Food Fight. No way can it be that bad. Food Fight is indeed a worse film. However, Food Fight was a scam. Which in and of itself makes it a worse project too. But it also kind of makes this a worse project because Food Fight was a scam. It went on, the development on it went on for years as they kept getting a bigger and bigger budget from all the product placement. All the product placement kept shoveling money at this so they could get their product in this film that was about product placement. And at the end of it, they put out just a complete piece of garbage that probably cost $50. They did that so they could take all the money they got and just run away with it and say, oh yeah, we spent all that money, when they clearly did not spend the money. It was basically just a money laundering scheme. this was a film where people sat down and was like, we're going to work on this, we're going to give it a message, we're going to create cute animals that all the kids out there are going to love, everybody's going to be asking for a Norm doll, those lemmings move over Minions, we have done the calculated research to find out how to make these the coolest and what kids want. This was a film that you can tell on every level someone was researching a way to make this the most marketable thing, to make it a hit, to make it something that everyone loved. And it's like that much better than Food Fight. So when you think of it like that, and the fact that this was trying, this was a scam, it's like, yeah, you kind of are worse than this.
So it's funny how you said they're trying to make this marketable, because like there was like a point in this movie where like the basically the network executives or the secretary looked at the lemmings like, ooh, how marketable.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's the thing, it's like there's a lot of self-awareness, there's
one joke in here in which one of the humans up in the Arctic mixes up a sea lion and a seal, and the Norm was like, it's a seal! Humans thinking all animals look like, and they looked at all the minions, and all the minions are copy and paste, and I was like, was this you trying to turn to the audience and go, we know how cheap this is?
It's like, but that's the thing. Pointing out how bad your movie is does not make it better or funnier. It just makes it bad. It just makes the badness more noticeable.
Yeah, this is a film that never once did itself any favors.
No.
But let's go back to the character designs and the animation, which there's no way for me to really, like I said, there is no way to explain to you how bad it looks without showing you clips, and I don't have the technology to capture the Blu-ray that we had to print.
You can always just post screen caps, I guess.
No, you can't, because that does not capture the motions. That does not, because that's the thing. I've seen trailers for this. They made sure not to put any of the crappy stuff in there, but it's like the dance itself, the moment that Norm goes to audition for this role, and he's like, no, you're too scary, you're too much like a bear, no one's gonna like that. And then he just starts doing the Arctic shake, and then this, the realtor guy played by Ken Jeong, and Heather Graham, the woman working underneath him, they both just go, and then instantly within 2 seconds of him starting to dance, they instantly are up there with him doing this too, and it's just so sped up and such fast motion, that's that is the freakiest goddamn thing I've ever seen. And the fact that they just instantly jump in there and know how to do it, and it's a 5-second long thing. It's almost like they try to do a big dance number to get everyone in there, but because it was 5 seconds long, it's no, this is just ridiculous.
Speaking of dance numbers, the end of the movie.
Yeah, there's it's so weird. So many films these days end with a dance number, have credits are rolling. This one, it has the dance number, which is just a really bad dance number that even uses clips from previous parts of the film when they were doing a dance number. And then when it ends, that's when the credits start rolling with just still images from the rest of the film being put up there. I was like, what on earth made you decide to not roll the credits over that? It's just ridiculous.
Okay, but no, the weird thing is before the end dance credit thing, it just shows Norm and his female love interest with their cubs.
Yeah, never has a name.
Nope. And they just show them staring up at the stars at Major Ursa, the constellation of the bear, which once again has never been brought up before until the very end of the movie, and it just fades to black. And then it cuts to the dancing in broad daylight with lemmings and Norm and nobody else.
That's why I'm this should have been over the credits, because it feels like a totally separate thing. But that is the smallest complaint that you could have about this film. That's weird. That we shouldn't even have stopped this conversation to talk about that. It was such a small thing. Because there are so many plot holes in this thing that I was literally yelling them at the TV. And there came a moment which I stopped and I looked at the time and it was 1:30 in the morning. And I realized I am yelling at the TV right now at 1:30 in the morning, and if my neighbors came over and knocked on the door, I would have to explain to them I'm watching Norm of the North and I'm angry about it. I would have to tell people that, and then I was like, I gotta just calm down. I just gotta calm the fudge down. But it's there's so many just stupid things that make no sense in here. Like,
yes.
Towards the end of the film, I think this is the one where I had to stop yelling at the TV. It's not even the biggest plot hole. The biggest plot hole is the fact that Norm is actually helping this guy land a bit.
Yes. The biggest plot hole is the plot itself.
Yes. But oh god. But at the end of the film, like, they've tied up Norm and his grandpa, and they've got him in a helicopter trying to take him back to the realtor guy, the real estate guy. Realtor and real estate are different things. To the real estate guy. And
his name is Mr. Green,
Mr.
so
Green,
you could just call him that.
And then the little lemmings pop out, and throughout this entire film, we've seen that the lemmings can chew through anything. They chew through anything. I was like, okay, so the lemmings are going to chew through the ropes. No.
Nope.
The lemmings literally do nothing. They just pop out and go, and then he's like, yeah, all right, I got a plan. I was like, okay, they're going to chew through the ropes. No, then he just starts talking to the pilot and going, hey, I'm not actually a bear. I'm actually a man in a bear suit. Are you going to really kill a man instead of a bear? I was like, have the lemmings chew through... This whole film, they've been chewing through things. Oh, no, this is the one. This is the one that I was yelling at. This is the one that I was screaming at the TV. When he first arrives in New York, he meets another actor on the street in a really bad bear costume, and... This is a guy who's trying to audition for the role of Norm as well, and he goes up to him, which, by the way, we should point out, when he arrives at this place, he never once tells anybody that his name is Norm, and yet they keep going, hey, this is Norm of the North, everybody. Norm of the North, everyone. Give it up for Norm of the North. They're like, wow, we know the name of the movie that we're watching, you idiots. We didn't just walk into the theater and go, just give me one for whatever's playing closest to the bathroom. That's all I care about. Although I assure you that's where this was probably playing in most theaters. But this is one that got me. He finds this actor on the street in a really bad bear costume, and Norm has to sneak out of the little house that they have given him to go and investigate his father, but he knows that there are cameras all over the place, so he decides he's going to have the guy in the bear costume go and stay in his place for him, and he's like, he'll never know. He'll think it's a man in a bear suit he'll think it's me the whole time. And then there comes a moment, like immediately after that, the man is in the house, he's playing the piano with the lemmings, and he doesn't have the head on the suit on. Mm-hmm. He's taken the head off, and Mr. Green is watching him on the camera like, and he's watching this guy in a bear suit with no bear head on. It's just the man in there. And then later on in the film, when he finds out that Norm has stolen something from him, he goes, and then he looks in the camera at the house, and he sees the actor without the bear head on, and he goes, it's not Norm. And I went, literally the first time you saw him in this house, he didn't have the head on. Did the animators forget to put the head back on for the scene where he's in the house? Like, why on earth did you see him without the head on and go, I guess that's Norm? 5 hours later into this film, wait a minute, that's not Norm.
No, it's like, but the thing is, like, he first thought Norm was a guy in a bear suit, but then he's like, he even smells like a bear. And it's like, oh, I know who else smells like a bear. The bear that I have held hostage.
He realized this before he had the guy move into the house.
Yes, so that...
So that doesn't explain this.
No, but it just explains how dumb that loophole is.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. He realizes that Norm is not a man in a bear suit before he hires the man in the bear suit to pretend to be him. So it's stupid on every freaking level. God, this is really getting me angry. Okay, it's my number one at the moment. It's my number one at the moment. It beat out Suicide Squad. Congrats, Jared Leto Joker. You aren't the worst thing this year. Oh my God.
Oh, I think I realized the thing that, like, threw us over.
Oh, what was it?
Like, basically, when Norm exposes Mr. Green, he basically...
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they have, like, this recorded footage, but here's the thing. It was not recorded. None of the stuff where Mr. Green is exploits his plot to take over the Arctic has been recorded.
Yes, it has. Oh, you missed this.
No, wait, what?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. No. There's a moment in which he is talking with the people who are in charge of giving him permission to build in the Arctic, and he's basically talking about the bribes he's going to give them and all this stuff. he recorded that on a flash drive, and then he put the flash drive into his little desk, and then later on the lemmings sneak in there, and they grab the flash drive, and then Norm hands this over to all the other people in charge of this approval, and like all of his backers, and they go, my God, he's committing illegal things, and he's bribing these people, and this is all wrong, and we're going to turn this all around. And the thing that got me was, why on earth would Mr. Green record this?
Okay, not only why would Mr. Green record this, but the footage was basically just clips of the movie that we already saw.
No, it was the camera footage from both things.
Was it?
Yes.
I could have sworn that
you don't know how stupid this film is. Okay.
Like, I thought they were just like reusing like scenes from like the movie.
They did.
Yeah.
But that was footage of. Don't make me defend this. You're making me defend this stupid movie. It was clips from previously in the film, but the clips from previously in the film was the camera footage from her computer and his computer of the two of them having the conversation. The point of this is not... You're focusing on all the wrong stuff in this. This movie, he recorded himself doing illegal stuff for no reason. There's no reason for him to record himself doing anything illegal. There's no reason for it at all, except for him to get himself in trouble. Like, I was trying to figure this out. Like, would he then use this to bribe her later to show that she was involved in something illegal? I was like, no, because it's recording him at the same time. He'd shoot himself in the foot by doing this. Literally, he recorded himself doing something secret and illegal for no reason other than other people later in this film will be able to use it against him. It's so stupid. I'm trying not to yell. All right.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of the sushi scene.
That's what you're thinking.
Yes. That's how messed up this movie is. I keep confusing all of the bad things that are happening.
Okay, yeah, that's what you're thinking of. Okay.
Yes.
When she says that they had video footage of Mr. Green and it was just a clip of earlier in the film, there's a moment when Norm goes on a talk show. Wait, hold on. There's a moment in which Norm goes to a sushi restaurant, and then Mr. Green bursts in there with a trank gun, and he goes, "You're a real bear, I'm gonna kill you." Like, the guy who just hired him literally 5 minutes ago in this film, bursts in there with a trank gun to try and stop him. Norm then has to disarm him. The guy who owns the sushi shop shoots Norm in the butt. I mean, he shoots Mr. Green in the butt with the trank gun, knocks him out. And then, like, they go, "Norm of the North, everyone!" and they applaud. Later on in this film, Norm goes on a midday talk show, and the woman hosting the show goes, "How about a clip of your latest exploits and your heroic adventures?" And then they just literally play scene for scene the exact thing that happened at the sushi shop, and like, there's no camera that would have caught all that.
There were people with cameras on their phones, but like none of the angles.
Someone would have taken all that footage, edited together to be the exact thing we just saw. That's what you were thinking of.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
There's so much stupid stuff in this film.
Yeah.
It's so horrendous. This was like I said, I've heard so many reviews of this movie. I've seen it on so many worst of the year list. And yet nothing prepared me for it. And in a way, I'm kind of glad I watched this because, like I said, I do this every year. And so far, the films we've watched, they've been bad. They have not compared to the crap I typically watch each year. Like, the bad movies this year have not been as bad as the bad movies of previous years. This one's one of the best. This one was like, this is why I do this. This is what bad movies are.
It's like Norm of the North is like one of those movies that you have to watch to see and like to believe it, but at the same time it's like, don't watch it. It's not worth.
If there was a film you ever had to torrent, if there was a film you ever had to illegally watch, it's this. I'm not telling you to do that because that's against the law. I'm just saying.
If you have.
I'm just saying, watch this movie, but don't pay for it in any way, shape, or form. This is a film that, like I said, you can't watch the trailers and know how bad the animation is. You can't watch the trailers and know how bad the writing and the plot is. This is mind-bogglingly stupid. And it's one that's going to stick with me. I'm going to remember this one.
I think the thing that like upsets me the most is that it's always like, as a fan of animation myself, it's always the animated films that end up being like the worst, because people think they can just get away with it by slapping everything on a computer, and I'm just like, no, animation is an art form. It needs to be treated as such. Just look at what Pixar has done, and Disney, they know how to do it, but it's like, it's just, it feels cheap when people like do a bad animated film, because it's like, oh, if we do a bad live action film, we actually have to like hire people. But with an animated film,
we can get some intern to do it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're gonna voice this character, and that's it. So, and that's honestly what gets me like so upset about Norm of the North and all these other bad animated films.
This really seems like one of those films that you would find. We found this at a Redbox, but you know what I mean when I say this seems like a Redbox movie. This seems like a movie that when you go to the Redbox, there's like, like when Kung Fu Panda came out, I would go to like the little like rental box things, and it would be like Kick Punch Panda out there, which literally was the name of the movie. I was like, this looks like one of those.
Yes, it looks like one of those like knockoff movies.
Except there's nothing it's knocking off. It's just like, I can't even think of like I said, they wanted this to be a franchise. They wanted this to be its own original thing.
It's like, it's not a knockoff, but you can tell what movies it's ripping off. It's ripping off Despicable Me, it's ripping off Happy Feet, it's even sort of ripping off The Lion King with the whole King of the Arctic bullshit.
Kind of, yeah. There's a lot in here that it does rip off.
Yeah.
I'm about out of steam. This was one of the worst.
Yes, this really drained us.
So, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.
Yes.
We have many more films to cover in the Gauntlet of Garbage, all leading up to my 10 worst films of the year, featuring Norm in the North. And if you want to see those, I'll have a link to that at the end of this. But if you also want to see some of the good movies that we watched, some of my favorite films of 2016, we'll also have a link to that at the end of this. So, thank you guys for watching. Come back next time.
Bye.